Welcome to this advanced masterclass explainer. I am your master coach, and today we're cracking the code on a topic that makes even the most high-achieving, top-tier accounting students break into an absolute cold sweat: Cambridge AS and A-level allocation costing. Specifically, we are going deep into the allocation and apportionment of overheads. If you've ever stared down at a complex, high-tariff exam question, those massive 9 to 15 mark beasts, and felt entirely lost in a sea of data, you are exactly in the right place. We aren't just crunching basic numbers today. Oh no, we are decoding exactly what the examiners demand to see on your paper to award those top band marks. In this session, I'm bringing you inside a digital study suite to listen in on two of my top scholars. We have Alex, who is incredibly technical, excels at memorizing formulas and facts, but frankly, struggles hard with open-ended evaluation. And then we have Sam. Sam is a highly creative thinker, fantastic at building arguments, but absolutely bleeds marks when it comes to structural precision and time management. Throughout this masterclass, we'll be watching them debate, stumble, and ultimately break through these complex exam traps. So grab your notebooks because we are getting highly strategic.
Here is our cognitive roadmap for today's session. We have 4 core phases. 1. The Absorption Costing Challenge. 2. Building Theoretical Foundations. 3. Mastering Technical Methodology. And 4. Thinking like an examiner. Let's jump right into the first phase.
Section 1. The Absorption Costing Challenge. Let's establish the root of the problem and figure out why this specific syllabus area causes so much friction in the exam hall. I want you to look closely at this quote pulled directly from the principal examiner reports. They call absorption costing, quote, one of the most misunderstood areas in accounting. Now, why is that? It's because the true challenge isn't the math. The math is just addition, multiplication, and division. The real hurdle is interpreting the anatomy of the command words. Let's look at a sample question on our interactive board. Imagine a 12-mark prompt that says, evaluate the use of absorption costing for valuing inventory, comparing it to marginal costing. The fatal flaw I see all the time, and honestly, Alex does this constantly, is treating the word evaluate as if it means explain. If you just explain what absorption costing is, you are literally capping your score at the lowest possible band. You have to contrast analyze versus evaluate. To analyze means to break the data into its component parts, like showing how fixed overheads are absorbed into product costs. But to evaluate, that requires a judgment. It requires you to weigh the pros and cons, look at the limitations, and make a justified conclusion based on the specific business scenario provided. The same goes for the command phrase, to what extent. If a question asks, to what extent is the step-down method of reapportionment better than the direct method, you cannot just list the steps of both methods, you must argue the nuances. Does the step-down method recognize reciprocal services partially? Yes. Is it as fully accurate as the algebraic method? No. You have to uncover the hidden constraints of the prompt. Examiners aren't just testing if you know the definitions, they are testing your cognitive endurance and your ability to navigate these specific, highly demanding command words under intense time pressure.
Section 2. Building Theoretical Foundations. Before we can execute the methodology, we have to build the theoretical architecture. Let's head over to the Digital Study Suite and listen in on Alex and Sam as they tackle a complex apportionment scenario.
Right now, Alex and Sam are staring at a massive table of factory overheads, factory rent, machine depreciation, supervisor salaries, and they need to apportion these across 2 production cost centers and 2 service cost centers. Alex immediately grabs a calculator and says, okay, factory rent is $40,000. Let's just divide it by 4 cost centers, $10,000 each. Boom, easy. But Sam immediately stops him. Sam says, wait, Alex, you can't just do a flat average. Look at the theoretical architecture. We need a causal relationship. And Sam is absolutely right. Absorption costing is a framework resting on precise definitions and causal relationships. You have to find the most equitable basis of apportionment. For factory rent, what causes the cost? Floor area. So you must apportion that $40,000 based on the square footage occupied by each department. Alex pushes for a purely factual, rapid-fire approach to save time, but Sam argues for the broader, conceptual perspective because Sam knows that's where the method marks live. What's really fascinating here is that the examiner reports explicitly state that candidates who reference cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. For example, if you can link the concept of matching costs to revenues, the matching principle, to why we absorb fixed overheads into product costs in the first place, you are showing the examiner that you understand the entire accounting ecosystem, not just a standalone formula.
The debate between Alex and Sam perfectly illustrates the three assessment cognitive domains you're being graded on. Let's break them down. A01, knowledge and understanding. This is Alex's comfort zone, identifying that depreciation is an overhead, knowing the formula for an overhead absorption rate. It's essential, but it's basic. A02 is analysis. This is where you actually process the data. It's the act of calculating the apportionment, using the net book value of machinery for depreciation, or the number of employees for the canteen costs. But A03, evaluation, that is the holy grail. This is where Sam shines. A03 requires you to step back and ask why. Why are we reapportioning the maintenance department's costs into the assembly department? It's because the production departments ultimately have to bear all the costs to calculate a final selling price. Successful candidates do not just memorize formulas, they demonstrate analytical depth over superficial breadth across all three of these domains. If you want that top grade, you have to transition seamlessly from knowing the fact to doing the math to justifying the reasoning.
Section 3, Mastering Technical Methodology. Let's take those theories and turn them into practical execution. But real quick, before we dive into the hardest part of the problem, I'm hitting pause on the masterclass. If you are serious about cracking these advanced concepts and unlocking your top potential, you need to subscribe to our channel, Ace the Exam's IGCSE O&A levels. Just search for the handle at acetheexam_IGCSE. Go ahead and click that subscribe button right now and make sure you enable all notifications by hitting the bell icon. We drop a brand new, high-impact Cambridge breakthrough strategy every single week, and you do not want to miss out on the exact techniques that turn B's into A stars. All right, let's get back into the digital study suite.
We're watching Alex and Sam actively draft a model response paragraph by paragraph on the screen, but they have just hit a massive roadblock regarding timing and paragraph linking. They are using this four-step sequence: deconstruct the stimulus, apply principles, execute analysis, and verify. But Alex is panicking. Alex says, "We've already spent 12 minutes on this single apportionment table. We're going to run out of time for the essay section." Meanwhile, Sam is writing a massive, disorganized paragraph trying to explain the reciprocal method of reapportionment, jumping wildly between points without linking them back to the specific factory in the prompt. This is a classic exam meltdown. So I'm using my picture-in-picture feature right now to pause their session and step in. The cognitive strategy to get unstuck here is brutal prioritization. For Alex, the timing issue means we stop overcalculating unrequired decimals, round to 2 decimal places and move on. For Sam, the linking issue means we need strict structural discipline. You cannot write a novel. You must follow the data. Extract the data, state the principle, show the math, and quickly verify if the total overheads post-apportionment match the total overheads pre-apportionment. That verification step is your safety net. It literally takes 5 seconds to check if your column totals match your grand total, and it saves you from losing cascade marks down the line.
Now, let's rewrite Sam's flawed section out loud, transitioning from a mediocre answer to a flawless, full-mark response using these presentation conventions. Sam's original draft looked like a chaotic brain dump. No headings, using the word costs instead of overheads, and 0 clear annotations. I told Sam, think of these presentation conventions as your academic suit and tie. You are a professional accountant presenting a report to a board of directors. So we rewrite it, we add proper headings, basis of apportionment. We use correct terminology, overhead absorption rate instead of just rate. We use appropriate formats, a clean, ruled columnar table. And we add clear annotations, showing exactly how we calculated the fractions for the service department reapportionment. The transformation is incredible. Suddenly, the examiner doesn't have to hunt for the answer. The logic is displayed clearly and chronologically. Clean formatting acts as a visual indicator to the examiner that you are a highly prepared scholar who is in complete control of the data.
Section 4, Thinking like an examiner. This is where we decode the specific pitfalls that trap students. Let's dive into a highly interactive, immersive visual workshop. I need your full attention for this.
Welcome to Scene 1 of our workshop, Data and Source Analysis. I am displaying a complex text excerpt on the screen right now comparing 2 different overhead absorption rates. Let's imagine a 60-second visual countdown timer has just started. I want you to read the descriptive answer versus the evaluative answer. The descriptive answer says, Department A uses a direct labor hour rate of $15. Department B uses a machine hour rate of $25. Time's up. Do you see the problem there? It is merely listing the given data. It's essentially telling the examiner what they just read in the question booklet. 0 analytical value. Now look at the evaluative answer.
While Department A relies on a direct labor hour rate due to its highly manual assembly processes, Department B utilizes a machine hour rate of $25 because it is a capital-intensive, automated cost center. Therefore, using a blanket overhead rate for the entire factory would lead to significant undercosting of Department B's products. Wow, do you feel the difference? That answer uses comparative connectives like while and because. It provides evidence linked to the nature of the specific departments. It draws a justified conclusion about the danger of a blanket rate. That is how you dominate AO3 evaluation.
Moving to Scene 2 of our workshop, Spot the Flaw. I'm displaying a poorly written student answer regarding the step-down method of reapportionment. Let's systematically highlight and annotate the screen to find the 3 massive errors the student made. First, deconstruct. The student identified the maintenance department and the canteen, but look at error number 1. They reapportioned the maintenance department first, even though the canteen serves more departments. Rule of thumb, always step down the service department that serves the greatest number of other departments first. Second, solve. Look at the math in error number 2. When they reapportioned the canteen, they included the canteen's own employees in the fraction. You can't apportion costs to the department you are currently emptying out. Third, evaluate. Error number 3 is at the very bottom. The student didn't check for reasonableness. The final overhead totals for the production departments are actually lower than their initial allocations. That is mathematically impossible when you are receiving reapportioned costs. If the student had just used this 3-phase problem-solving loop, deconstruct, solve, evaluate, they would have caught all 3 traps set by the examiner. Whenever you face a roadblock, rely on this exact loop.
We are nearing the end of our session, and the principal examiner reports have identified an exact countdown of the top 3 critical mistakes students consistently make on this specific topic. Let's reveal them. Make a mental note of these traps, because avoiding them is how you unlock the top-tier marking bands. Warning 1. Answers are too vague. Alex used to say, the cost is divided up. No! The overhead is apportioned based on floor area. Precision matters. Warning 2. Forgetting to check format and presentation. We covered this. Don't lose marks because your table is a mess and the examiner can't follow your logic. Warning 3. Answers are not specific to the context given. This was Sam's biggest breakthrough. Sam realized that if the exam prompt is about a custom furniture manufacturer, your evaluation must talk about wood, labor constraints, and custom batches, not generic widget manufacturing. Contextualized details prove to the examiner that you are analyzing the specific scenario, not just regurgitating a memorized textbook paragraph.
If you remember literally nothing else from this entire masterclass, burn this quote into your memory. Examiner alert. Students lose marks by not showing working. This is the ultimate method mark strategy. I synthesized this into my 3 core pillars. First, the 3-step question scan. Before writing anything, scan for the command word, the specific accounting method required, and the underlying context. Second, the paragraph balance formula. Ensure every paragraph has a statement of fact, a piece of data from the exhibit, and a concluding evaluation. And third, the last 5 minutes review checklist. In the last 5 minutes, you don't calculate new numbers, you review your workings. Your precise step-by-step process is just as valuable as your final calculation. Even if you punch the wrong number into your calculator at the very end because you're stressed, if your workings are clear, method marks can absolutely save your grade. Show your fractions, show your formulas, write it all down.
To make sure you don't freeze up on exam day, I want you to use this memory hack. Turn these systematic procedures into a vivid visual story method. Imagine absorption costing like managing a massive restaurant kitchen. Your allocation of direct costs is buying the raw ingredients. Your apportionment of overheads is figuring out how much electricity the ovens use versus the refrigerators. And your reapportionment is dividing the cost of the cleanup crew across the different cooking stations. When you encode abstract accounting concepts into a relatable visual narrative, recalling the correct conventions becomes completely effortless under pressure. So, I leave you with this final provocative thought. When you sit down for your Cambridge exam, will your next answer simply display a lonely, unsupported final number? Or will it tell the examiner the complete, fully annotated, logically structured story of your methodology? I know which one Alex and Sam are going to choose now, and I know which one you should choose. Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. Do not leave your grades up to chance. Hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels. Search for the handle at acetheexam_IGCSE and turn on the notification bell so you get our next exam hack immediately. Drop a comment below right now with your exact target grade and one new strategy you are taking away from today's session. Keep pushing, keep practicing, and I will see you in the next masterclass.